We're live. Welcome to The Answer. My partner tonight, my guest reader, is running late. So it's just me. I'm Sandra. That's my name right there. I don't even know if I can make it. You can see bottom corner. That's me. I'm Sandra. Nice to meet you guys. This is our first time using Restream, which if you don't know Restream, it is a streaming software platform, and it's my first time, and I don't even know how to see the chat. So this is interesting, and I think that I'm on Facebook, but I have no way of knowing until I check Facebook. So we'll just give it a second here for me to check and find out where our guest of honor is. So just bear with me a second, grab a drink, get all comfy wherever you are in the world. And let me see if we are on. I hope we are. I'm not sure. Yes. Yes, we're online. It's a bit of a delay, but let me see if I can get into the chat. Yes, we're online. It's a bit of a delay, but let me see if I can get into the chat. All this technical stuff, right? Sorry about that. All right. Well, at least we know we're live. And until Justin gets here, I won't be able to answer your questions. But what I can do is I can talk to you. Every time we go live, we kind of have a little topic, a hot topic for the night before we get started answering questions. And so my topic that I chose for tonight was common holiday stresses and how to avoid them. So it gave a top 10 of things that are hard to deal with during the holidays. We've all got our own top 10, I'm sure. What's yours? What makes you stressed out about the holidays? And here he comes now. I had to start the live without you, so it is going. So don't say anything X-rated.
Don't say anything X-rated, but we should put some roofing tiles on your steps.
I'm live right now. And you want to talk about roofing tiles on my steps?
We should put some on your steps. Anyway, move on.
I'm gonna do a quick countdown and I'll be right back. Give me 30 seconds to talk to my guest speaker. Class or something? Okay, we're back. We had 30 seconds. I can't see any of this is going to be really interesting, guys. We're just doing a test pretty much tonight. I can't see any of the chat there. So I'm going to get you a glass. Hold on 1 second. Justin's coming back. I can't leave the camera like all by itself. Okay, you're just going to have to get your own glass. This is what I deal with every day. Meanwhile, did you just do aftershave or something? It's doing aftershave
It's
for
called Florida water.
a live
It's
broadcast.
ceremonial.
Oh, okay. Let me show them that. Actually, that's quite interesting.
It's got a little sprayer there.
So this is called Florida water. And Justin, can I spray a little on myself?
Yes, absolutely.
This is for, I don't know if it's going to spray me in the face, but it's for like clearing your, I also I'll show you the Palo Santo, but the Florida water smells really good. Actually, yeah, you said it did have a smell. It does have a smell. But this is to clear, he sprays it on himself and you can't see him, but he was doing it like cologne for a hot date. Speaking of hot dates, we all had a hot date together last night. I'm going to show you guys the photo. Let's see if I can get it in there in the shot. So that was us on Christmas Day on a cruise that went all the way around downtown. And you can see there's me and there's Justin, who's about to join us, and some other friends of ours. So that's where we were last night. So we're still feeling the holiday spirit. We got Christmas music going. And yeah, and then if you want to put on your Facebook in case someone does get on, we'll actually see their comment. But yeah, I was just starting to talk about things that we get stressed out about besides people coming over to our house during a live, but holiday stuff. So family. So it's a number one. This is Justin, everybody. Say hi, Justin.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, you might have to come just a wee bit closer.
I'm going to get right in the background here. You talk.
Okay, he's going to get set up for his stuff he's going to do. We'll talk about that in a minute. Anyways, number one, top 10 list of things. Here, I'll take you out so you can just have a second to yourself. Top 10 things that stress us during the holidays. One is not being able to get everything done, right? We all feel overwhelmed shopping. You've got all of your regular scheduled stuff with work, and then you've got kids off school. So now you have kids, now you're shopping, now you have family coming in. So if that's not enough to stress you out. Spending too much. A lot of people spend too much during the holidays. If you hear those sounds of beads, that's Justin. Number 3. Expectations. This is a big one, isn't it? When holidays come, or just in general, haven't you ever found yourself like, this is going to be so great, it's going to be the best thing ever? And then I always feel that Christmas letdown, day after Christmas. You do all of this prep, and then you just kind of feel like deflated after. Like it's over, and yeah. Another big one for a lot of people is family. That family member that you literally want to kill, but they have to be invited to the Christmas dinner, right? On the other end, there's people that are lonely. Loneliness is a huge issue during the holidays. People are alone. They're away from family, or just don't have any family left, and that's really hard. Number 6 is they hate crowds, and yeah, dealing with the shopping, the holiday shopping. I don't know about you, but I've seen so much traffic this Christmas. It was crazy. I think it's because we all got time off during Corona and there was no traffic. And so it just kind of hit me like, oh my God, everyone's on the road. Number 7, too many parties, and probably like me, drinking and eating too much. We definitely did a lot of that. Number 8, exhausted, right? Again, you've got your regular schedule, and then you've got the holiday stuff. It's a lot. It's a lot to go through. So number 9, I haven't accomplished anything this year. Yeah. So we're coming up on New Year's resolutions, kind of looking at where we are, where we want to be. And I think during Corona, this is just really heavy-handed, because there's so many things that we had plans for in 2020 that got moved over to 2021, and now it's getting moved over to 2022. So, it's understandable that people get a little bummed, but that's what we're here for. And Justin's over there, like, doing his little thing. Yeah. So this is actually our first time, I think, I've already mentioned, using this software. So we're kind of just running it. We're not even on YouTube. We're just on Facebook tonight. But if you catch the replay later, excuse our technical issues. We will get better. And I am just going to give me 1 second while Justin gets warmed up. And I just lost our music. It's great. Oh, there it is. I hear it again. I see the issue. If I go on Facebook to see the chat, I can't play the music.
Oh, dear.
So you'll put it on your phone and then you'll be able to see the chat. And yeah, so how's it going, Justin?
It's going well.
Yeah. So why don't you show us a little bit, introduce us to you and what you do.
Okay.
With all your little.
I'm actually my. Okay, so
while I eat a cookie.
This hat, incidentally, I decided to wear tonight. I bought this hat in Pisac, Peru, where I also got this rattle, which I didn't get this in. I think I got this rattle in Cusco. I'm not entirely sure. This is my. We call it a mesa. This is also called wrapped in the cloth. It's got a lot of stones that have been used in ceremony, a lot of different things for different reasons. Kind of my medicine. Well, my medicine, as we say. I've got a shirt in here that was signed by a bunch of friends in my medicine work, medicine wheel program, as we call it, that I sent with a box of rocks from Afghanistan. And I just put the shirt in there to keep the rocks from banging around, and it didn't fit quite right. Well, they all signed the shirt, and then I got it given to me a couple of years later. So I've got that in here too.
Wow.
So it's a lot of close personal like medicine that you put in here.
Can you explain, is that shamanism that you're doing?
Yes, I was going to get to that. So most of my work is shamanism is a very blanket term. People understand it. If you say mysticism, people don't have a good frame of reference. Technically speaking, it's more Caro mysticism, from the mountains of Peru. The Caro were a tribe that weren't even discovered until the 50s. They wandered down from the high peaks into a local village. We're speaking Quechuan. Everybody else is speaking Spanish because of the colonial Spaniards that had brought it over, and nobody had any idea who they were. So it's the most untouched, pure form of mysticism / shamanism that you can find for the most part. Typical association with shamanisms is the use of hallucinogens. Ayahuasca is a really common one, but it's not natively used amongst the Caro. It's used among the Shipibo tribes. They're usually associated with the Amazon jungle that you see on various television shows like National Geographic when they talk about shamanism.
And what's your thought on doing hallucinogenics?
I think if you just go into it without any kind of frame of reference, if you've done no other spiritual work, if you haven't done any kind of personal training or therapy to unlock that awareness, to understand that there's a reason why you're seeing the things you're seeing, or you're reliving certain traumas. If you don't have that frame of reference to be able to see that and understand what's happening, I think it can be very traumatic for you. I'm not saying they can't work, but I don't think you get the full benefit unless you
definitely don't want to do it unsupervised.
Yeah. And you want to have some kind of frame of reference. You want to have done some kind of personal work where you see traumas rise, you work through them, you understand them.
Yeah.
You have this sense of self. Because if you just go and you unlock all of that, it can be very, very startling. It can be really difficult to integrate. And if you can't integrate it right, it's not really worth your time.
Yeah.
So.
And I've known people that have done ayahuasca, and you literally have to babysit them because there's like the different stages of, like, at first they get sick, and then they want to take all their clothes off and run, and then they start hallucinating and they're seeing stuff that they think is real. And so it literally takes people to handle them so that they're okay through the whole process.
It can definitely be that way. It depends on who you're doing it with. There's a diet associated with it. If you've got a lot of mental health type medications, you want to be careful not to mix the two. You definitely don't want to mix any kind of other drugs with it.
So what would you do if you did take like antidepressants and you were going to do ayahuasca? Not that you're a doctor and we don't give any medical advice at all. You should talk to your doctor. But what you've heard.
So in a proper like ayahuasca retreat, a lot of times they're going to want all that information. And it's going to be up to the people with the experience and knowledge to tell you what to do in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what you're diagnosed with, what you're struggling with, they may tell you, okay, you just need to come off them for X amount of time. It could be a month, it could be 2. I'm not sure that timeline, but you cannot mix them.
Right.
You
So
absolutely
you would
don't
have to
do that.
quit at a certain period
Yes.
and then do your journey and then get back on them?
May not need them after, but it's hard to say.
Huh.
There's a lot of variables there. I am not a practiced ayahuasca shaman. So,
Nor are you a doctor.
Nor am I a
and
doctor,
nor
right.
this is for entertainment purposes only.
But
Don't take anything we say seriously.
But yeah, definitely there is a very restrictive diet to it. I've talked to people.
And what does that include? No McRib sandwich from McDonald's.
Definitely no McRib sandwich.
How about
do a McRib sandwich?
How about
before your
animal
ayahuasca
circus?
time.
How about frosted animal circus cookies?
Sugar. You don't want to have sugar.
What about what you brought over?
Oh, sadly, no. You don't want to mix
Mead.
mead. It's 12% alcohol, man. You don't want to do that.
Okay, so what are you eating before you do ayahuasca?
It's really just an elimination diet. You're getting rid of sugars. You're getting rid of like red meat, a lot of processed food. You want to eat as natural as possible.
Good thing I'm never going to do ayahuasca because I'm not giving up meat or sugar.
The people I've talked to about it say, yes, there is a diet. Yes, it's highly recommended. The biggest thing, because let's face it, we're not all perfect about following pure diets, especially in our society. It's very hard to do. You don't want to have alcohol in your system or any kind of other substances.
Right. You don't want to mix it. I think my leftover pizza's on the floor as we're talking about food. I'm going to go throw this away, and Justin's going to show you all the goodies he brought.
Yeah, I brought some goodies today.
Okay, you can explain it to them while I throw the pizza that I spilled on the floor.
So we've already shown my mesa. I've got an oracle deck here. I am a big fan of this oracle deck, mostly because the artwork is just beautiful. Look at how beautiful this deck is. It's just all these cards are just absolutely gorgeous. And that's upside down, but depending on how the card gets pulled out, like it's just a very beautiful deck to have.
Who did a Facebook?
It's called the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck, and actually, one of the gentlemen who helped make it, Albert Villadolfo, is from what's called the Four Winds Society, and he was one of the original pioneers, if you will, of the West that went and traveled with the Caro and kind of learned their ways. Which, incidentally, the Caro accepts all races, genders, whatnot. So no cultural appropriation there. Like you can be initiated into the Caro tribe as a white Westerner. It's perfectly fine. So,
but they'll talk behind your back.
Well, maybe
talk about that white honky.
Silly Westerner behaviors for sure. Does happen. So this is a new deck I actually got recently at like a kind of a pagan fair. So this one.
Oh, I like that one.
Right? Hang on. This one. It's this one here. So I really like this one's called Pacific Wonderland Oracle because I don't know if Sandra told you or not. We're actually based in the Pacific Northwest, and
we're in China. I don't know what he's talking about.
Can't you tell? I mean, anyway. So this is a local deck that I have not used yet. I've actually just christened this deck, pulled it out tonight, and I really like the local decks because this is all based on foliage.
Oh, the native plants.
Native plants.
Yeah, I think you brought that over to Michael's house.
And there's a different energy with. Actually, I didn't have this one then.
Oh, you didn't have it?
No, I've got another deck.
I feel like you were talking about it then.
Yeah, and there's just something, if a deck calls to you on like Amazon, for instance, or whatever site that we're talking about, that's fine. But there's really a different energy in finding something like this that's made by somebody locally that like put their energy into it and thought behind it.
So now you're going to have to explain what you mean by that because people aren't going to understand what you're talking about when you're drawn to something. So why don't you explain that?
So when you're drawn to something, the best way I can describe it, man, I should have brought it. Like recently I was at a fair and I picked up a selenite wand. That had some copper looping on it, some feathers. They actually called it a shaman's wand.
It's really cool.
Lady had it a long time and hadn't sold it. She said, "Man, I thought about just keeping it." And I picked it up. Mm-hmm. I just couldn't put the thing down. And when I go to stuff like this, I try to be
You were like, "It's mine."
Yeah, I try to be a minimalist, but sometimes I just couldn't put it down. So I ended up buying it and walking out with it. And that's something that was made by somebody local that's got their own form of spiritual work that's tied to the land, and they do their own energy work. And I think when you get something like that, it's a very different feel than if you just go on Amazon and click purchase. That being said, I mean that's how I got my mystical oracle deck.
So that's
I got it off Amazon of all
so
places.
that's something that they could, if someone were interested in doing cards, they could go to a metaphysical shop or some sort of fair and just kind of see what feels right.
Yeah, supporting your local artists, it's such a different feel when you're talking to that person right before you get their product and stuff. You know, I just enjoy that myself. But you know, we all do what calls to us. I've also got another Sacred Spirit deck, as it's called. Not really a tarot deck; it's another oracle deck. And this is made by Camilla Blossom. Sorry. And this is a lady that does a lot of local spiritual work, lots of different ceremony with flower essences and things. I did a flower essence workshop with her, had a great time. And again, it's another local deck, and it was really funny. The flower essence I made had all these thorns and stuff in it. I don't know what it is about me and like blackberries and things like that.
You love those thorns.
I love those thorns, man. It's kind of a joke about my dating life in there somewhere. But
sorry. We're getting feedback right now. Sorry.
First card I pulled was blackberries. So out of this deck, no kidding. Interesting. And everybody in the workshop started laughing. I'm like, yeah, well, it happens.
Justin, can you pull up Facebook and pull this live up, because I can't do that. And
what happened with my phone? Excuse me.
Excuse. I'm here. That would not be good.
No, it's in my jacket.
I can turn off the Christmas music, but I don't want to. Do you have your phone?
I just used it before I came in.
Yeah. So we're going to lose our Christmas music because I'm going to have to use my phone.
I can run to my card.
No, it's fine. Some of us were prepared tonight, and it's fine. Some of us were ready to go at the time we said, okay.
Sorry, I was getting my hair done. I just wanted to look good.
Yeah, okay. So let's get a little background music, shall we?
You can run my card right there.
Yeah, we're already live, so you're already late enough as it is. Let's see. Let's get some lounge music going. Okay, and then I can turn this off. We got the funky lounge music. You guys hear that? Okay. Now I can go to... Well, that was old. It was really old.
Gosh, it's like it's the first live or something.
This is really old. Look how far behind we are. That's how far behind we are.
You say we're getting some feedback? People commenting or asking for card pulls or anything?
No. So this is our first one, and we're not even on YouTube. So I'll talk to you about. We've got like 30 platforms. Come on, next one. This is just a practice night, but look how far behind we are.
Greatness.
Look how far behind we are. The first time Peter. Oh, it's frozen. The first time Peter got on, Peter was we should tell you the story. So let me just check and see if my internet is on the right connection. Yeah, okay. So we've known each other for a few years, and there was a situation where we kind of just fell upon it. I fell upon it. It was like with two teachers from Australia that taught healing. And then I kind of told Justin about it. I think I'm saying it right. And then he kind of got into it, and we were doing healing classes. So our teacher, Peter, when he first, sorry, I'm looking at the chat. When our teacher, Peter, first started, I was looking at his YouTube video the other day, and there were 0 people on his first live. So, since I got all this set up today, this video will be posted and be available for years to come. That's why it's important that we're talking about topics. And how long have I known you? 3 years, 4 years? Too long.
It was back when the world could dance.
Yes, that's right. That's how we met. It was swing dancing. East Coast swing. And now we can't do that here in Portland anymore because, well, we're not going to get into that because we don't do politics. But moving right along. So Justin and his shamanism. So we did this healing class and then kind of moved on from there. So Justin he's been doing shamanism before we ever got into the healing class. And then did you show them? You have your cards, you have your, you didn't bring your rods?
I totally forgot them.
Okay, so
I'm not used to using them.
Yeah, I don't do rods. I mean, I don't do cards. Just because you need to do what you're comfortable with, and I'm not comfortable with it.
That's why my tarot. I don't have my tarot deck. I just got my oracle cards. I don't have worked with my tarot deck.
I have my rods here, and actually, before I went live tonight, I was doing the readings, and I had a spirit come through, and I actually had a connection. So the rods are kind of iffy. I've just started on them. So it's like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I have my backup, which most people refer to as a pendulum, but I'm using this necklace that has a key on it. And then, like I said, I don't do tarot, but I'll do like chakra cards. Like if it's a health thing, I'll pull a chakra card for someone. So my main background is psychology. I've been a therapist for 20 years now and worked with adults and children. So I'm pretty good with I have a pretty strong psychology background. And then health, I work in the health field, so health and fitness. So that's kind of where my knowledge is. And I like our little groovy lounge. Got a little. All right, so we don't have anyone asking for any questions. So what do you want to talk about, Justin?
Oh, let's pull cards.
Let's pull cards. Pull cards. Who are we pulling cards for? Me, you?
Let's pull cards for you.
Oh wait, can you do one for the collective conscience? Like
collective conscience, huh?
Yeah. I saw somebody do that. I thought that was really cool. Like, just pull one card for a person that might find this live later, and pull that card for them.
I've seen our beloved Caroline go through this, where she first has to choose a deck for them. Collective consciousness, huh? So,
just one card.
Drumming and rattling, we'll say it's not. The reason people do this is it alters your state. It gets you out of your thinky mind. If your thinky mind gets you into all kinds of problems. It interferes with the signal that's trying to come across. So.
True. Very true. You can't see this, but he's got all the cards spread out.
Like that.
Jasmine. A lot for one card. That's a lot of shaking.
Collective conscious is a bit vague.
It's just somebody that finds this video later. This card is for you.
Very vague. So when I say tracking, that's kind of my way of saying intuition or drawn to in some way. What I tracked was my new deck that I've never used, and I got big leaf maple. Big leaf maple. Right, local plant.
So do you have a book that tells you what that energy represents?
Well, I do have a book. The thing about the books is they tend to be very generic and just kind of in the ballpark sometimes, what the intention was when they made that card.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're drawing for a person, it doesn't necessarily mean that lines up to that person.
No, it will, because that's who we pulled it for. So just read the energy and then they'll understand.
Kind of like...
it's a very generic reading for someone that falls upon this video after the fact. There's no number. You just have to scroll through. He's got like this little book of like black and white photo. Like,
if you want to use the book.
I mean, most cards, you know, I have like my chakra cards, an entire book about each single card with like pictures.
Oh,
and I have a poster.
So this basically says what the card says.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
okay.
The only thing, it does have a little caveat, which is good advice.
Okay. Okay, so go ahead and read it. If you found this video after the fact, this is for you.
All right. So the big leaf maple. So this is about learning from the past, experiencing lessons, and opportunity. So,
can you repeat that, please?
Learning from the past, experience, lessons, and opportunity. So it's very vague, right? Learning from the past. Learning from what part of the past, what exactly scenario are you learning? Sometimes what we learn can get us in trouble, right? Because it's not always the best association with belief. Something that did emphasize too is learning from other people's lives. Do that. See if there's anything interesting that comes through with that. Something that's very relevant to any kind of medicine work is you are not the sum of your past. It's important to remember. The experiences you've been through, the behaviors that you have engaged in and endured yourself, they don't dictate who you are today.
I can't guarantee they can hear you over that.
Oh, right.
They're like, I'm trying to hear what he's saying, but he keeps doing that damn rattle.
You know, maybe I should just bring it a little bit, but just put drums on in my so I get that state all day.
So for people, you just said, 'cause I think it was good advice. I just don't know if everybody caught it.
When you see it, when you see somebody says learn from your past, okay, that's very generic. That's real easy to get kind of thinky. So the reason I pick up the rattle is kind of separate from that. But probably one of the most important lessons I'd say from any kind of spiritual medicine work is, yes, learn from the mistakes of your past, learn from others' mistakes, but don't dwell on them and don't suffer over them. One. The other thing is you're not the sum of what you've experienced in your past, right? We've all experienced traumas to different degrees. We've all engaged in behaviors that in hindsight we looked at, we're really upset about, and it's real easy to dwell on and beat ourselves up over that. Or look at other people and go, well, I don't want to be like that person. But you are not the sum of everything you've experienced. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think that a lot of times the experiences we have are simply preparation for giving us the tools and skills we need for what we're here to do.
Yes.
I mean, it's in my belief that we all have a journey that we kind of had mapped out for us before we came to this planet. But we're all born as a little baby that doesn't walk and has no experience. So we have to go through certain trauma and certain, whether it's loss or challenge or, whatever, just so that we're ready and prepared for, what it is we came to do.
Yes.
So when bad things happen, you can look at them as an opportunity to grow and an opportunity to change and take you where you need to go.
Yep. Let me show this one more time. Right, big leaf maple talks about learning from your past experiences, learning from others' past experiences, experiencing growth and opportunity. But those experiences aren't the sum of who you are. You can change your beliefs, and you can change your associations at any time.
And if you look at things from that perspective, it's easier to not get caught up in all this stuff has happened to me and I'm beat down, rather than looking at it on the flip side and say, this has made me strong. What didn't kill me made me stronger. And now I'm this strong person that's been through all this, and I can really tackle anything. So perspective is a lot, I think, with that card. To me, that's kind of how I see it, is perspective. How do you see your life? Do you see your life as a victim? I tell people a lot when I do therapy is you can either, bad things happen, and it may not be your fault, but it is your responsibility on how you deal with it. And, nobody's going to blame a kid whose parents were killed young when they were a kid. There's so many things that could happen to you in your life, and people could go, oh, he had everything going for him and this bad stuff happened, or she really was in a good position until this happened. And no one's going to blame you if you go and get depressed, or you go become addicted, or you go and commit crime. They would be like, it's their excuse. It's your excuse, right? You went through all this hard stuff. And my question to you is, what are you going to let it be? Your strength or your excuse? Because you can take those things that have happened to you, and it can propel you into doing something great with your life. For instance, I know of people that have suffered as small children. Their mother was murdered. Their father was a drug addict. They were raised in foster care. Nobody would have blamed them if they became drug addicts like their parents. What a rough start in life, right? But they didn't. They let it be their strength, and they're amazing. And 2 out of the 3 are now moms, really good moms, and they're in great relationships, and they're all grown up, living their life, living their best life. But had they sat there and wallowed in what happened, and what happened to their mom and their dad being on drugs and them being basically abandoned, that would have really killed them. So much of that is perspective, and it's how you look at it. So no matter what you're going through right now, and no matter how lost or you just feel like you want to give up, look at it as a strength. Because in everything that we go through, we don't change when life is just easy and nothing's changing. We don't grow. We only grow when we're going through change, when we're going through trauma, when we're hurt, when our back is up against the wall. That's when we learn and grow and evolve. And so that's what we're here for on this planet, right? We're here to evolve. I would think. Definitely not here to go backwards. Hopefully. Although some. Okay, so I want to bring up something I heard recently from a well-known medium prophet. They said that, that you can come back. You can come back and be, have another lifetime. So let's say I screw something up really bad this lifetime. I can come back in another lifetime and address the things that I've done and try to make it better. But I also heard that if you really are just a horrible person in every lifetime that you go through, that you're not allowed to come back. In fact, your soul is extinguished. If you're just every time you come back, you're just killing people and just wreaking havoc on the earth, and you have no interest in ever evolving or growing, your soul can literally be extinguished by the higher power. So you'll never come back. What's your thought on that? What's your take on that?
That's fascinating. I've never heard that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It was compared to Charles Manson.
I believe the Buddhist perspective is really good, right? They just keep coming back over and over again.
Yeah. So what this prophet was saying is that, like Charles Manson and Jeffrey Dahmer, their souls were extinguished. You can't mediumship them. You can't get them to come back and talk. You can't get answers from them because their soul is literally gone. Because this was like the 10th lifetime that they came through and were eating people and killing people and torturing people. And that God or higher power, whatever you want to refer to him as, just said, "That's it. I'm done with your crap." Boom. Turn off your light.
See, in my work, a lot of ancestral traumas can be cleared if we do the work for them. We actually have processes for removing ancestral trauma. I only recently learned that suicidal I struggle with this word. Don't laugh at me. Ideation.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It's not idealization.
No, said it right the first
ideation?
time.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Suicidal ideation is an ancestral trauma. I only recently heard this, and so if you're somebody that's constantly struggling with suicidal ideation, granted, other external factors in this lifetime can undoubtedly influence it. Mm-hmm. That's something that can be extracted.
And then you would no longer have that urge.
That's what I've been told. I'm actually going to undergo that at some point here in the near future, I think. I've never had it done, so I'm going to see what that does.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, that's something I've carried for a long time.
Yeah, I definitely.
I'll let you know how it works.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about what
okay.
you said, and I was also thinking about that I've come to the conclusion that, we stigmatize addiction and mental illness in this country, and it's kind of sad because to me, I feel like the people that are mentally ill and drug addicted are the most people of us.
In some ways, yeah.
And they just can't handle the incredible sadness that I see when I walk outside. They can't handle it. They're too beautiful. They're too beautiful to stand it. They just can't.
There's a fantastic book that I've read most of. It's a little dense, but it's called it's by an author named Gabor Mate. Gosh, I don't have to look how to say his name right. But
we can later on we can put it in the comments.
Yeah, it's called In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts, and it's that's actually I've learned a Buddhist reference where they refer to people that are kind of strange as hungry ghosts and things like that. Mm-hmm. And he talks about how we crave vulnerability in our culture, in our relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, so on. You really have to have vulnerability for them to foster and grow. But at the same time, we're afraid of that vulnerability because we can get hurt, right? I think we've all been through that at some point in our lives. And so one of his theories, as somebody that's worked with addiction all the time, and that's what he was. He was I believe he was in Canada. He was an inner city doctor / counselor of the drug addicted, giving them methadone, dealing with them every day, being a part of that world. Mm-hmm. And he said that the drug use allows people to experience the high of that vulnerability without being vulnerable.
That's interesting.
It's very profound. I read that and I went, that actually kind of makes a lot of sense. And in some ways, even though their life's just burning down around them, there's that high, everything's okay. Right? They're in that euphoria, like they're in love again.
I mean, it's for the few moments they escape their mind.
Yes, yeah, it's really fascinating.
Yeah, and that's why I think a lot of people, and I've personally had people in my life that were, my goddaughter's little sticker stuck in my head. But I think that with bipolar and a lot of other mental illness, they get on the pill or whatever, and it helps them level out, but they level out. They're no longer having the highs and the lows. They're just in this constant state of zombie. They feel like a zombie. And they don't want to go through their life feeling numb. So they don't want the high and the low, but they don't want the numb. And that's why so many people that are on psychiatric medication, they get off of it because they hate the way they feel. So it's this balance of do I feel like shit all the time, or do I take the medicine and feel like a zombie? And it's got to be a really hard.
Oh yeah, well, I was on antidepressants for a while. I hated my job. I hated where I was at. I don't want to say which branch, but in the military. I still am military. And you go and say, I'm just kind of ups and downs. I feel like I'm kind of struggling some days. Well, here, take a pill, right? Take a magic pill. There's nothing to really warrant that. That was just their, quick fix. Here's a Band-Aid, get back to work. And God, it felt so fake. I was like, I feel great.
Yeah.
This is fake as hell.
You don't
but
feel
I feel
like
great.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
And that's why people
Like,
stop doing it.
this
Because
weird
they're like,
disconnect.
yeah, it really is. It numbs you. It numbs you to everything. So, Dr. Caroline Leaf, you can look her up on YouTube. It's Caroline, and then last name is Leaf. And she is I believe she's a neurophysicist, but correct me if I'm wrong. And she wrote a book. I think it's something, and I can put this in the comments too. Cleaning up the mess that is your life, or something like that. But the thing that I think of when I think of her is she says that mental illness is actually an addiction. It's all it is simply a signal that something is out of alignment. Something in your brain is misfiring, or overreacting, or underreacting. And it's a sign. It's kind of like if a house is on fire, you might not see the flames, but you sure as hell see the smoke. And when you see the smoke, it's the sign there's probably something really bad going on in that house.
Yeah.
So when you see addiction or you see mental illness, it's stigmatized. People look, they judge. You know what's interesting to me? Have you known someone that had like cancer or heart disease or diabetes, and everybody's like, oh, we're going to rally around you. We brought you a casserole. Do you need us to take you to your doctor's appointments? And then if someone tells you they're a heroin addict or they're bipolar, suddenly it's like, oh, yeah, let's not call them anymore. You know what I mean? You know that guy.
Don't talk to them. You're enabling.
Yeah, you're like looking at them. Yeah. Don't encourage them to come over and talk to us. And it's like, why do we do that? Why do we treat people shitty like that?
Yeah, I've tried that. Gosh, I forgot what I was watching. This lady was talking about one of the biggest struggles of being homeless is not just the circumstances, but it's this feeling of being invisible to everyone.
Yeah,
right?
Nobody wants to acknowledge you.
Right. So she actually, when she's out, she goes and takes time to talk to people that are sitting by their tents or whatnot, and say, "How are you doing?"
And I do,
with them.
I do understand that, because if you are from Portland, or you live in Portland,
oh man, yeah,
or any large city, they've become very predatory. And I know that I'm stereotyping, but I mean, generally, when you're approached by someone scary, trying to be aggressive with you for money, it's going to be a homeless person. So I get that, like, you want to avoid eye contact and stuff. But I'll add this, is when I used to volunteer, I think I told you the story. I used to volunteer at the homeless shelter because no one wanted to be around the homeless people overnight. And they would come and bring the dinner and go, there's the dinner for the homeless people, or here are some donations, but we don't want to touch them. We don't want them near us. So they were going to shut down the seasonal homeless shelter for families. These are like little kids that are in their car or worse, in a tent, right? So they opened up the shelter, but we needed people that weren't homeless to come and monitor and sleep there. And if you sleep there at the shelter, it means you sleep on the floor with the kindergarten nap mat. You know what I'm talking about. When you're in kindergarten, they give you a little mat, and you lay down, okay, and they give us some sheets and these little really bad pillows. And you would just lay on this concrete floor in a gymnasium for the night with the homeless people. Not the most ideal situation, right? But if you don't do that, then no one will have a place to sleep. So I used to volunteer the overnight shift. And one night there was a woman there, and she had missed dinner. You know, a lot of times when you're homeless, schedules don't really work because you got to take a bus, and then the bus isn't running or whatever. And they didn't get to the shelter till after dinner. And she said, oh, I'm so hungry. And I said, listen, once dinner shut down, I'm not allowed to serve food, but we have the breakfast nook in the kitchen downstairs. So when everyone else goes to bed, come see me, and we've got bagels, and I could do a bagel and some hot chocolate. That's all I could do because I have to follow the rules of the shelter. And she came to me really quietly after lights out, and we were sitting at the table. And I unlocked the breakfast nook and grabbed her a bagel and made her some hot cocoa, and we sat down and had hot cocoa. And she said, you know, people come here, and they come here with their blow-up mattresses and their goose down comforters, and they think they're so much better than us. And, you know, they try to say they're Christian. You know what? It would never make me want to be Christian. You know what makes me want to be Christian is someone like you. That you bring your children here. I used to bring my kids and volunteer. We'd all sleep on the floor with the homeless people. You're not afraid to let your kids play with my kids. You're not afraid to sit and talk to me. And that, if anything, is going to teach me to want to be Christian more than the lady that shows up with her blow-up mattress and thinks she's better than us and looks down on us like, don't get too close, I don't want to get dirty. And that's really sad.
That's kind of a good perspective for your kids.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know if that's changed them in some way, but I hope so.
I would think so.
I hope so. We do know that kids that grow up volunteering, or at least seeing their parents volunteer, there's two common denominators for people that are highly successful in all fields across the board. They did research on it. And the two most common traits you'll find in someone that's highly, highly successful: at an early age, they learned the value of $1, and their parents were civic-minded. So parents were giving back, philanthropy, volunteering, whatever, in the community. And they were teaching their kids the value of money at an early age. And those are the two things across the board in all different fields. That's what they found. So is it a good idea to volunteer? Yeah, probably really good, especially if you have kids, because then your kids see you giving back and being a kind person. And, they're going to grow up one day. And what kind of people do you want as your children?
I kind of got a blind spot with the whole parenting thing.
Because you don't have kids?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I have brief stints with kids.
Yeah, you're actually really good with kids. But yeah, I don't know. It's too bad. It's too bad we have such a homeless issue, and it's too bad that people feel scared. Because I remember back when I lived in LA many, many years ago, people would have their signs out saying, we'll work for food or whatever. And I would just go up to them and say, yeah, come on. Like if we were outside of 7-Eleven, I'd say, come on in. Just, get whatever you want. And they'd get burritos and milk and whatever. And I just buy whatever they want. Or if there was a restaurant, I would take them into the restaurant and say, I'll buy you a burger. And I would just sit because I wasn't hungry. And I would just sit and they would eat. And I would just talk to them while they ate. And I can't do that anymore. I don't feel safe now. In fact, recently, somebody put something about they were hungry or something on their sign. And so I said, I just come out of the store and I said, I just got some groceries and they were like, no, I just really need the money. And my thing is I'm not going to give you money because I don't know where the money is going. And I don't want to perpetuate you smoking or drinking or doing drugs. I don't want to be a part of that. Yeah. So what else do you want to talk about?
I feel like we end up on that.
I don't even know. We got into the homeless thing.
We went from addiction to right there.
I don't know. How did we get into that? I don't even know. But now I'm going to have to find those 2 books.
But I know what you're saying about the culture changing in Portland.
Yeah.
At least so much of my work too tends to tie back to things from our childhood. I have to wonder if that aggression that we see is a response to not being heard throughout most of their lives. They weren't heard as kids, become adults, and now they're still not being heard. So there's this extra level of you will listen to me, you will see me.
I mean, if you look at it like this, they're kind of isolated, right? What other population of people do we isolate?
Oh, yeah.
When you break the law.
Yeah.
You go to jail. And you see how people turn on each other when they go to jail.
Well, that's a
so
mess
it makes
too,
me feel like if they're in a desperate situation, you know what I mean? If you feel desperate, how are you going to be really calm, cool, and collected? Or are you going to be very reactive?
Well, the privatized prison system in America is a whole other ball of wax.
Yeah.
It's just,
yeah.
It almost it puts you in situations where you have to be violent, and then you have to stay longer because you were violent.
Exactly.
It's just, yeah.
I mean, if you could imagine,
so evolved in the cultures we like to make out to be. That's
well, if we could put ourselves in the homeless person's position, you don't know where you're going to be sleeping. You don't know if while you leave your tent or leave your car that you're sleeping in, someone's going to come and ransack it and steal your stuff. So you find, and when you see homeless people with all their stuff and their cart and stuff, it's because they don't feel comfortable leaving it at the tent site. But I will tell you that I saw something on the news about Portland that every time they clean up one little pocket of homeless people, they come through and say, you can't be here, you can't camp. They supposedly clean up the area. All that happens is they just move to another area.
Yeah, or they say come to Portland, and then did you know that they put fences along the overpasses?
I know they put rocks underneath the overpasses by Foster.
Oh yeah, no, and
so you can't sit there.
Or on the west side of Portland. They've got fences.
Yeah, because they got tired. Yeah, they got tired of people tenting it. But the problem
come to our city, we'll care for you. Oh, but you're not gonna have to sleep under a bridge here. What? It confuses me to no end.
The thing that I don't like is that they're backlogged to go clean out these areas, and they clean out the area, and then the tent city all moves down the street, and it costs them $20,000 to clean up for sanitation, for trash, for where they lit the fires. I mean, the brush, you have to go through and clean everything. It costs them about $20,000 each time they.
Well, I'm curious to see. I know they opened a tiny home community somewhere, or they're about to.
They did.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that helps.
Well, Idaho did it right. Idaho
might give a good baseline so people aren't. If you're not on the ropes every day, you actually can get yourself good footing and go in an upward trajectory.
Yeah, and that's what Idaho did. Idaho said we can't afford homeless people. We're going to build these low-income apartments that are like basically a studio apartment.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was shared bathrooms or they had their own bathroom. And it was about $15,000 an apartment it cost them to make it, to build it. And then they gave each homeless person a place to live. Yeah, and it seemed to cure the problem, but it seems like we pay way more than that for homeless people than just building them.
Yeah, and I think most people probably don't have issues with, subsidizing, correcting difficult social issues.
Yeah.
But we want it to actually work.
Yeah.
And it seems like by the time the government and the politicians are done with whatever they've been fiddling with it just doesn't work as intended over and over again.
Yeah.
You get these talking heads on TV versus, if you want to talk to me about social issues, gender issues, give me somebody that's in the trenches. Like, give me that person that's, been working in Skid Row as a social worker for 20 years. I will listen to every word they have to say. They're going to know far greater than I would ever hope to know, or any professor at a university is really going to know when it comes to dealing with those issues. Unfortunately, we'd like to polarize and politicize everything, at least in our culture.
Well,
just getting to what really can correct these problems. Like, how can we really help?
Well, the problem is that we don't offer mental health services anymore. We don't have places for mentally ill people to go. And then we don't have, to get into a rehab or detox, there's usually a 1 to 2 week wait. So when someone finally decides I need help and they show up, they go, come back in 2 weeks. We're overloaded. So they can't help you get clean and they can't help you get healthy if you're mentally ill. So that's why you see the majority of homeless people are one or the other or both. You don't have, although there is a new population of homeless people that have jobs and they just can't afford the rent. They can't, their job pays so little and the rent is so high that they're sleeping in their house their car or their RV. Their car is their house or in a tent, but they have a job they go to every day. And that's just, they go to the gym. I used to see this at Planet Fitness, is that
I have friends that do that actually.
Yeah, and they're homeless and they come in to shower at Planet Fitness and it's like, I guess you gotta shower somewhere. But it's rough.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's talk about something. Well, let's talk about something positive.
Let's turn to the spiritual work a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? Like how it's so easy. A couple of the trends, common themes that I see in a lot of the spiritual work is I call it the Care Bear Love and Light crew. That if everybody would just be positive and embrace the light and this and that and the other, and then everything would change. And it's like there's a lesson to be had in anger, for instance, right? Like the idea that if you're angry, you're not a good spiritual person. No, that's no.
Absolutely,
Cannot be an angry spiritual person.
Yeah.
There is a lesson.
Or you can only be in the light. But the thing is, we are a balance of both light and dark. And if you don't want to acknowledge the dark, then you're off balance.
Yes, yeah, and it stunts growth, and it doesn't let you address your own internal issues.
Yeah. So why do you think people do that? Why do you think people want to blame the fact that everything's bad is because we're just not positive enough?
Well, I think it's a bit, in our culture, you can almost tie a lot of stuff like beliefs and ideologies back to Hollywood in some way. The spiritual person absolutely has to be the person that's like sitting in an ashram in India somewhere, and like floats everywhere they go. This kind of extreme example.
Well, that's the stereotype.
Like, hey, I'm a practicing shaman. Shouldn't I be wearing fancy robes and like cool hat? I do have a hat. The Caro actually wear in ceremony. You can see I'm not wearing it right now. But there's this idea like, oh, I have to present this identity, or I have to look this certain way, and that
gives you credibility.
Yeah, this guy's practicing Caro nature medicine work. He shouldn't get angry. He should be evolved beyond anger. Oh, I get angry. Oh, and there's a lesson in that anger, and there's something to unpack in that anger.
True.
And if I'm constantly going, oh, I shouldn't be angry. No, that's not the love and light way to be. That's not the approach. I'm missing the lesson in the anger, and I'm running around trying to sell this narrative that's completely false.
Yeah,
you have just embrace the love and light. What's the secret in all of your problems? Just go away.
I did like the secret, but you know what? I think was it the Dalai Lama said that anger with compassion is actually quite effective and can move mountains. If you're angry, but your anger comes from an imbalance, your anger is with compassion for forward change and movement. But that's perfectly okay. It's okay to be angry that people are being mistreated, or just whatever the situation is.
Well, and that's the thing. He's talking about
kids are going hungry,
acknowledging the anger in a healthy way.
Right.
And when we talk about compassion, the biggest challenge, I think, for a lot of people, myself especially, since I've been in the medicine work now for a few years, and I've only recently started to come out and say, hey, I've been doing this medicine work, and now I'm going through a healer's training right now in this lineage that I'm about a year and a half from graduating from. Mm-hmm. It is having compassion with yourself. That is the biggest challenge for most of us.
Yeah,
right?
That's my biggest challenge.
I saw this hilarious little meme, and it was showed Gordon Ramsay, the chef that's always ripping on people's food.
Love him.
He's
English
hilarious.
Guy. Yeah.
And it shows, me when I'm holding space for my friends with mental issues. It's okay. You're a great person. We all go through this. Me when I'm holding space for myself, and it shows you effing donkey is the caption, right? Because we just. No,
that inner voice. Yeah. And you heard me just talking about this, that I'm starting a new business endeavor that's like medically driven. And I am learning all these new things. And so every day is a new challenge that I set for myself. So I'm doing it by myself. And poor Justin, got the phone call trying to talk me off the ledge. And I must have done 100 things that day, amazingly. But all I could focus was the one thing I didn't do as well as I wanted to. And that nothing else mattered. I was a piece of shit. I deserve to die. There is no excuse for me to be on this planet because I didn't do this right. And you know what? Oprah said this once. She said I could get 10,000 pieces of fan mail a week when she had her show. But the only one I'm concentrated on was the one that complained or the one that didn't like the show.
Right. Yeah.
None, the other 9,999 didn't matter to her. All she focused on was the one that was critical. And I think that we are so, I just recently was expressing this, that I'm very loving to other people. Somewhat. I'm that person, I'm very loving, but I will kick your ass if I need to get you back in line. But I'm doing it with love, right? Okay. When it comes to me, I'm a pretty loving person with other people. When it comes to me, there is no excuse. You either you make it the best there is, or you are nothing. There is no middle ground. There's no But you're new, and like Justin was saying, like, oh, you're learning this stuff, Sandra, and it's gonna. No, I didn't do it perfectly the first time. I deserve to be killed.
Yep.
And I think people are so. That inner voice is so ugly. It's cruel.
Yeah, we call it higher ego.
It's terrible. It's like the worst bully. And it's worse than any person you could ever come across.
That's why you got to get out of that thinking brain. Right?
Yeah.
Tricky mind, man, and it'll come through.
So let's talk about that. How do you get out of that thinking brain? Because I know how I get out of it.
Well, you have to see it. You have to see it, right? And so many of us are so used to hearing it and letting it kind of rule us that we don't acknowledge it. We don't get it.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I mean, I've been in this work for a few years now, and I have to be reminded, when the National Guard called me to hospitals for 2.5 months there, and I was doing all this patient care, working with intubated COVID patients and some pretty extreme stuff. I sat with a cancer patient all night and just helped him go from his bed to his chair because he just could not get comfortable with constant pain. I went, man, when you get a job working in tech, like this feels so much more natural and comfortable to me, right? And what would you think would be probably the best way to view that? Wow, I didn't realize this before.
I fucked up.
This is outstanding.
This is my whole life calling.
Exactly, right?
Shit.
That's where it went, man. You just beating myself over the head. Why didn't I do this before? I must be an idiot. I should have been in the jungle all this time,
right,
learning proper medicine.
Yeah.
The end of this lifestyle.
But bringing it full circle, where's that card you picked earlier? Bringing it full circle, where's the maple leaf card? Because the maple leaf card
in here. Now I gotta find it.
So bringing it all full circle. Justin may have not, as a young man, really appreciated sitting in that hospital helping those people had he not been through what he went through in the military.
Well, yeah.
That's changing that perspective. And for me, it was changing the perspective of I'm going to stop. If I don't do something right, I'm going to stop and I'm going to write down all the things I did right that day. And I'm not going to allow it into my thoughts. Like, I'm not going to sit there and hear myself say over and over, you're nothing, you're worthless. And it's so funny because somebody said to me, it must be the way you were raised. And it's not true. It's the opposite, actually. I was never, if I came to my mom and said, Mom, I got an A on my math test, what do you think? Are you proud of me? And she'd say, I don't know. Are you proud of you? And I'd be like, what? He was like, did you give it everything you had? Did you really try your hardest? And I thought to myself, no, actually I didn't, because math was easy for me and I didn't even really study for it. And then I felt like a piece of shit. But that wasn't my mom's fault. My mom wanted me to be clear of outside forces when it came to how I thought about myself. So now I live up to my own expectations, which in a way is coming back to haunt me.
It's a bit of a double edge, right?
Yeah. I like it because when people say, if somebody comes up to me, and Justin knows me pretty well, and if we were at a restaurant last night and there was a couple that wasn't very happy with us because we were being, joyful.
We know how to have fun.
We were celebrating the season, and then you had this couple, and the guy kept going, shh, shh, like during our dinner thing with a live piano and like people chitter-chattering and dishes clanging from dinner, and he's like, shh, and I'm like, first of all, we're not in second grade here. And so when he left to go with his girlfriend, I guess, outside on the deck, we went outside on the deck. Okay, I was kind of instigating a little bit. And then when we went to go back in,
you'd never
really loud, I said, shh, because you gotta enjoy life, I feel like. And when it comes to being mean to yourself, you could either laugh or you could cry. And so my thing is, I try to find humor and just try to find like the happiness in the situation. So, and when I was talking to Justin about what do you do to avoid that, for me, it's meditation. And I noticed on the days that I got really frustrated and literally was almost in tears, I hadn't meditated. I don't know if that works for you, Justin, but like if I'm meditating at least once a day, not even for a long time, just for maybe 7 minutes and 7 minutes. But that's enough to keep me that takes me back down to 1.
Yeah, for me, breathing or doing a journey, meditation's been kind of challenging for me last several years. Ever since I had sensorineural hearing loss in this ear, so now it's just this constant like white noise tonality.
But that actually should take you into meditation even faster.
You'd think so, but it hasn't worked that way for me. So I prefer going into a journey, talking to my guides, if you will, which it's kind of funny. I actually had a journey where I went and yelled at all my guides.
We're not endorsing you yelling at your spirit guides.
I'm not, but there's a lesson to be had there. I was in chronic pain. I had been in chronic pain for months and months and months in various degrees. And
but is that your spirit guide's fault?
Well, no, I'm not blaming them for that pain, but I wanted an answer to what was causing it.
Right.
And so I went down there and like an angry foreman, threatened to fire everybody. The productivity numbers are not met. You are all canned. Why do I have you? I want a giraffe or something. Get away. You're fired. No more eagle. Just yelling at everybody.
Yeah, this was me with the spirit rods the other night when they wouldn't connect with me, and I was like, "To hell with you!
Why am I doing this? It's not going to help me."
Right.
And of course, they gave a very spirit guide answer. Well, this is a process. Just trust us. We've told you it's going to get better, and it has. I was tracking a couple of things. I was like, okay. Clearly got something wrong with breathing. I keep tracking breathing. I can breathe fine. I'm just like, something's not quite right in that department. I kept tracking that. I kept tracking stuff with my jaw. I'd already seen a jaw specialist years ago telling me nothing was wrong, but I just, I'm going to go see somebody else. So I went and found another TMJ guru doctor, and I'm 3 weeks into the 3-month regimen, and I already feel 100 times better. But, the beauty of it was, granted, everybody's got different degrees of chronic pain. I understand now what it's like to be stuck in that.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
I could barely function. I go work, go home, and that was it. Yeah. And as I get more and more lucid and come out of that, you look around and like, boy, my life, everything's a disaster right now.
I think pain, you're so busy feeling and concentrating on the pain, you can't feel anything else.
And I used to kind of have the love and light, like, well, just like do yoga and eat healthy, and you should be fine.
Yeah, no, that's all good. That's all good.
It's all
do
good,
yoga and eat healthy and meditate.
Your body can still turn on you regardless.
It's not everything.
And it's a lot easier for me to hold space for somebody.
Your body didn't turn on you. You did things in your life that caused that injury. And it still is just as good for you to be doing yoga and eating right, but it's not enough.
Well,
you had to do more.
It's according to the specialist, dental neurology, I think, is about the closest thing. I think that's the proper term for what she does. It's actually a cultural problem. We give our kids too much soft food in the quote first world cultures.
Then you did something.
Jaw doesn't develop right.
Right. So, okay. Well, if that's
in my case.
So I mean, it wasn't. And some people are just born with things that are wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to just keep keep trucking until you find, because you must have tried 20 different things before you went to this person.
Oh, it's been years.
Yeah.
And multiple years.
Yeah.
Going down that rabbit hole trying to figure out what's going on. But it's. I think it makes it a lot easier for me to hold space and have compassion for people that have got some kind of chronic pain now.
It's back to your card.
Yeah.
Your perspective. It gave you the perspective, having been through the pain. And that's what getting back to what I said. You want it to be your strength or your excuse. Oh, I can't. My jaw. Oh, my neck. Oh, I can't.
Well, there was a lot I couldn't comfortably do for a while.
But that's your choice. You want it to be your excuse, or do you want it to be your strength? If you move through this and you conquer this, you're going to be a light at the end of the tunnel for other people that have been through the same situation.
Well, it's been fascinating. I've gotten multiple phone calls and emails asking me about it. I had somebody that's been in the medicine work for, oh my goodness, I don't know, probably 20-some, 30 years. I had to just throw a dart at the map with them.
One of our teachers.
Call me.
And one of our teachers, Caroline, was asking you. she's had the same issue.
She was asking me about it too. Yeah.
So, yeah.
This is somebody else I'm talking about though recently.
Yeah. No, I understand. But like,
reached out to
they're
me.
gonna find you if you can lead them the way you were led and help them. And it won't work for everyone.
No, but I mean by
But-
proxy, if it helps a few people, even
It'll
gives,
help
gives some more
everyone.
meaning to my suffering. I
It'll
think,
help
anyway,
everyone to be hopeful. You know what I mean? And so I think it's a good thing. We need to wrap this up. We've gone well over an hour at
Have
this
we?
point. Yes, we have.
Wow. Nice.
But yeah, I don't know how I'm going to title this little discussion. We went from ayahuasca to mental illness to homelessness. I'm going to have to go back and watch it. And I will put in links for the books that we referred to, which was the book by Dr. Caroline Leaf and your book by
Gabor Mate.
Gabor
Say his
Mate.
name right?
And the name is
In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts.
In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts. I will have a link to that. And I will also put in a link to my YouTube channel that is going to be live streaming 24/7 of strictly guided meditations. So if you need to explore meditation, a lot of people, have trouble with it. So guided meditation, a lot of times is the way to go if you're not a really experienced person with meditation, because it kind of, so if you don't know what guided meditation is, it's just someone telling you and directing your mind as you meditate. And that's a nice way to start. And then for me, I feel like it's distracting at this point. And I just want to hear like some quiet music. But in the beginning, it can be really helpful. So, and also you can have it on in the back of your, on your computer while you're working, and it just keeps you chill. So I'll put in a link to that. And we will be back for sure next Sunday. We might pop on, right? Next Sunday? Are we good for next Sunday? We might pop on before that. So please press like and, subscribe, follow, whatever. We're on different platforms. So make sure you hit the notification so you can see when we're going live, and get your questions ready, because we actually didn't answer any questions tonight, but we will get to that. And when I come back next time, I'll have my rods, I'll have my pendulum, I'll have my chakra cards, and like I said, I'm willing to answer any questions about relationships, love, life, career, and of course, this one. He can do rods way better than me, so he'll probably have his rods, and the rods like instantly are like, "Hi, how are you doing, Justin? Sure, what answers do you want?" And mine are like, I'm asking a question, I'm gonna hold him like just to show you, not the way you're supposed to hold him, but I hold him, and then it's like, "Hey, can you tell me?" And they're just like this. They just like, we're connected and we're not going to talk to you. It's literally like, I feel like it was like a little kid being in the schoolyard when all the kids were turning their back on you and ignoring you because they didn't want you on their dodgeball team. Yeah, I feel like that's me. So, but we will be back, and I'll have my chakra cards to read your chakra. And actually, we have both trained with Peter and Caroline, and so we do healing work. If you have physical ailments, I won't just give advice. I will do a healing. Will you do a healing thing? Could we do it together? Could we both do the healing together on them? I'm asking you if you're comfortable. I'm not asking you if it's possible. Are we able? I'm saying, would you be comfortable with that? Because I'll do it by myself if you want. So I just don't want to commit if you're not. He's going to think about it.
Yeah, I'll think about it.
So healing, life advice, cards, rods, and just talking about everything in the world today. So when we come back, it's going to be, possibly next year, unless we pop on before next Sunday. So coming up on the New Year's. So the topic for next week is going to be New Year's and resolutions. Are they good or are they bad? So think about that. Think about your questions. And do you have anything else you want to add before I talk us off?
No.
Okay. Have a good night, guys. Till next time.